The Golden Knights are slight underdogs in game number 3 of the Stanley Cup Final on Thursday night. We have seen this act before, and VGK has won 6 out of 8 away from the Fortress in the playoffs. Can the Golden Knights continue, and can they silence Florida and the Florida Live Arena by taking a commanding Cup Series lead?
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Find us on YouTube, our YouTube channels, Locked On Golden Knights. Please subscribe there. It's going bananas, right, Chris?
Yeah, the comments are fun. Today's, what day is this? Wednesday's video had it's like 3,000 views right now, Tony. I don't know if I told you that or not. We're up to like 870 subs, guys. So if you're watching, do us a quick favor, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Definitely hit that subscribe button for us. Please, please, please.
Okay, on Twitter, at LockedOnVGK, at Tony Dasco, at TDChrisG. We are brought to you by the Gametime app. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. On Wednesday, Chris, VGK practiced. William Karlsson was not in attendance. Bruce Cassidy said that he wasn't feeling well, but he will be in the lineup on Thursday night for game number 3. The Golden Knights will be trying to spoil yet another party on the road, especially like they did the last time out on the road in game number 6 in Dallas. And that's where they played perhaps their best game of the entire playoffs. I thought so. 6-0 was the final there. And then they are outscoring opponents 32-16 on the road, Chris. During the playoffs, they have 12 goals already, 12 already in the first 2 games. VGK has all the momentum. What could Florida possibly do to take that momentum away? Are you there?
Mm-hmm. I'm honestly thinking right now. I've been thinking about this all day, and it's tough to figure out right now if you're the Florida Panthers. The one thing Florida really needs to do is knock off all the nonsense behind the play and after the play. I think that's first and foremost, because it's not rattling Vegas whatsoever. They need to focus on getting the first goal. Then they need to focus on keeping a lead and everything that goes with that. This is where I really wonder what Cassidy has up his sleeve. If Florida does decide to stick to a hockey game, I would love to see Cassidy and the Vegas Golden Knights flip the script and become what the Florida Panthers were for games 1 and 2, just reckless. I mean, not reckless as far as, their style of play, but definitely after the play is over, bring the chippiness to them, bring them back into the game, drag the Panthers into the fight, because at least through 2 games, they have proven they are unable to control themselves. So if they're able to try and start off by, not doing all the shenanigans, I would love to see Vegas play the instigator role and drag Florida back into the fight. I think that would be such a cool role reversal.
It's really funny. Bruce Cassidy, sporting an unbelievable tan at the presser, really got that tan going fast. South Beach Bruce. But he made a point of mentioning that we talked about this yesterday. The Edmonton series prepared VGK for the shenanigans and the physicality of this series. He actually admitted that, a topic on yesterday's show. Okay, little brush our shoulders off. He also said, sporting that tan, of course, he talked about the contributions of Ivan Barbashev. We can't talk about him enough. And how he's become a key cog, especially on that top line. He talked about, and we have talked about before, the way that VGK scouted him, but I found out another interesting wrinkle at that time. Cassidy said Mark Stone was out, and William Carrier was also out. He's been with this guy the whole season, still calls him Carrier. And so one of the reasons why he fits in so well was they were looking for a player that perhaps would not be so needy in the neutral zone, because that is Jack Eichel's role. And Eichel has to have the puck between the Blues. And that's what Cassidy was talking about. It's just an unbelievable fit. And we've always discussed since Eichel arrived here a year ago, plus, we've discussed continually, oh, we can't find somebody that fits in on this line with Jack Eichel. Oh, they're not on the team is something else that we mentioned early on in the season. They're not a member of this team yet.
It took us a month to realize that Eichel needed help.
Right. And then here he is, lo and behold, it's a different sort of a fit, but it is the right fit currently.
I wrote an article that should be published tomorrow for Inside the Ring, kind of covering a McCrimmel plan. I wanted to get some attention on that right now. But, you know, you look at two key acquisitions over the last couple of seasons, Nick Waugh, who at the time was bouncing around the AHL system before he was acquired. And then obviously more recently in Barbashev. And they are both what I call a couple of Swiss Army knives. You can use them any spot in the lineup. They can play any position. I mean, Barbashev isn't a center, but, you know, they can play any role you ask of them. Penalty kill, physical, power play, scoring, offensive, grinding, defensive ability. And we saw Barbashev. Barbashev immediately was thrown on line one, and then they think they lost to the Avs. They got shut out that night. And everyone was like, okay, what's up with Barbashev? Why is this happening? And all of that. And, you know, things started to click after that. They had another winning streak. And then you saw Barbashev even drop to line 3 and 4 at some point for a little bit. And that didn't seem to work out for a little while. And then come playoffs, boom, back on line one, and the rest is history. But another hot Twitter debate that's getting a lot of attention. I put a poll out there. Keep one, Adin Hill or Barbashev. And at first it was very in favor of Barbashev. And I think now the Vegas people, or maybe people from the outside, are all saying Adin Hill. But honestly, if you can only keep one of those, the answer going away is Barbashev for what he brings to that top line. And obviously Marchessault is just sitting pretty as the ultimate benefactor in all this, as he's, I think, the chalk to win the Conn Smythe.
Yeah, for sure. And when you talk about Barbashev, he played alongside Oscar Sundqvist and Sammy Blaze. And so that's a much different line. That was, I guess, one of those impact lines, if you will, for the St. Louis
Is that what
Blues.
they call them now? Impact lines? Is that the new lingo? Impacts?
That's what I'm going to call them.
I like it, actually. That's not bad. I like that.
I just came up with that.
That's good. I like it. Good job.
Okay. And so defensemen. Currently, the VGK defensemen are outscoring and outpacing and outplaying the defensemen of the Florida Panthers. I'm just curious if they will continue, the defensemen, the blue liners for VGK, the impact blue liners for the Vegas Golden Knights, now have 6 goals in the playoffs, 3 here in the Stanley Cup Final. Will they continue to be more offensive minded?
The Vegas Golden Knights defense is only 1 goal down on what the Panthers have done for the entire playoffs, for the entire Cup Final. That's pretty crazy by itself. I mean, listen, the Golden Knights defense has been I forgot what the stats were. We've talked about this a few different times, but when the top 6 have been fully intact, the stats are overwhelming in support of Vegas statistical advantage to win games. Their defense is big, but they're quick. They are responsible, but they're also opportunistic. And when you look at, Shea Theodore rushing the puck, Pietrangelo, Alec Martinez, opportunistic. He gets a goal the other night. White Cloud gets on the score sheet. Shea Theodore scored a nice goal. We'll leave it at that so we don't start an argument here. But point being is, you got the opportunistic and the responsibility, the responsible play, just blending in this perfect stew, if you will. And tastes pretty good at the moment, right?
Yeah, for sure. And when it comes to goaltenders, that's been a position that VGK has won in this series. They've won throughout the playoffs. And I just remember me saying early on in this season, we had a whole bunch of scraps, all these goaltenders. And I continuously said to you, Chris, and I just was thinking about that today. I said, did they have goaltenders that could win you a Stanley Cup? And the answer was emphatically no. No, there's no way. They can't do it with Logan Thompson.
I was room
Very
temperature
concerned.
on Logan. You were negative on his ability, which
I
is fair.
I said
Very
they
fair.
could play okay in the regular season. I just didn't think they had the experience to be Cup finalists. Even I couldn't see it with Brossois and again Logan Thompson and Aiden Hill was just a late acquisition for the Vegas Golden Knights. Very concerned about goaltending. The thing about Aiden Hill currently, he hasn't led up too many in the playoff clean goals. Like most of the goals that he gives up, they come off of rebounds, they come off of deflections. Think about it. Most of his goals have not been clean goals. And so there's some movement in the puck. The puck changes direction.
He's not getting beat. He's not getting beat.
Right. He's not. I mean, if you go back, maybe the Kachuk goal that was just like a bell ringer. I don't know. No one even saw that puck, and the Golden Knights didn't even know that it went into the net. Okay, that's one goal though, and that was sort of clean, right? From what I recall. But
yeah, and the other goal was that game was off of a bad turnover that bounced off Alec Martinez.
The wraparound, you had 4 VGK players, 3 in the net. And
that's
Hill.
when we can hang on Aiden a little bit. It was a bad situation all around, and Aiden made a play, and he was confident. He made a play, didn't work out. Okay, fine, he's doing okay. But I mean, yeah, Aiden Hill, he is just in the goaltending. I mean, I'm with you, Tony. If you would have told me, like we knew Brossois, he had a good run. Like I felt better about him as everything progressed, right? His stats were good. I still don't think, and maybe you can correct me, I don't think he suffered a regular season loss. Not a big sample size, but so obviously
a regulation loss,
regular season loss.
Okay,
yeah. So we got comfortable
regular season regulation.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Impactful.
But Aiden Hill is confidence. He's got the swagger, which we've never seen this. There's something about the Stanley Cup lights that are bringing out Aiden Hill's personality right now. He's out there chopping and whacking, but he's also staying within his game while sending a message. I mean, the Florida Panthers, they've been a bunch of bullies for the first 3 rounds. They've been very good at it. And now all of a sudden, the physicality, especially of the VGK defense, is on display. And I'm going to go rogue for 1 second here. I want to give the Florida Panthers some credit for a minute. And I was listening to the NHL Network when I was driving across town today doing some business. And there was about a 7 or 8 minute segment. I forgot which host was, whether it was Cooliest or the other one. But they were talking about, is this the worst team, the Florida Panthers, to make the Stanley Cup Final ever?
Pretenders?
Yeah, but why is this a conversation at game 2? Listen, if Vegas goes 4-1, 4-0, or even 4-2, and you want
to
the
have 16th seed. They're the number 16 seed.
Right, but they could still, they're in the series still. This is not a conversation you have when someone is down 0-2 as the Eastern Conference champion.
That's absolutely the smell of this, though. It reeks of a sweep right now.
It does, but you got to think, and obviously I'm leaking my prediction a little bit here, but you got to think Florida's going to push back. And I just don't like the NHL Network using that as, a filler, a fluffer topic, whatever you want, a reaction topic. It's like, even if after game 3, if Vegas blows them out, fine. Okay. Start having that conversation, but they haven't lost a home game yet. Florida deserves some credit. They are the Eastern Conference champions. Yes, Vegas is, running them out of the room right now, but let's see what happens after at least game 3. Vegas hasn't won anything yet.
We have to see if Sergei Bobrovsky can play in net and again try to keep that crease clean.
He can see.
Right. They have done a great job. They've taken away his eyes, as Cassidy says, with that unbelievable tan. And then he gave up the 3 straight goals the other night and 4 goals on 13 shots. And if they get to him early, if VGK scores, I think the 10 minutes again, first 10, I think so important in this game. If it's scoreless after 10, then we're having a good and gritty match. If it's 1-0 or 2-0 VGK, lights out. I definitely don't think.
I agree. No, and I mean, here, check this out: 6-0, 5-2, 7-2. That's VGK's last 3 games against a conference final opponent and a Stanley Cup opponents. That's not supposed to happen, folks. And I'm not saying taking anything away from Dallas and Florida. I'm giving credit to VGK right now.
I'm going to be eating a lot of crow in the postseason if this continues.
Oh, that's terrible, Tony. God.
Coming
Please,
up
Vegas,
next,
don't lose so Tony doesn't have to eat crow.
Coming up next, will special teams play a role in game number 3 and the outcome of game 3? We'll talk about that when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Buying tickets to your favorite events should not be stressful. Gametime is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy. We should start charging for the comedy here and theater near you. They've got some killer deals, last-minute tickets. Chris and I have both utilized it, and you can browse through the Gametime app. You could talk about upcoming events. You could look for any event in the area, and some of the things that we really like: flash deals, last-minute tickets, easy to find and to buy tickets for each and every event of the area. Then they also have images of your seat views, which is great. They have the lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, and job loss protection. The Gametime guarantee means that you will always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section for less, then Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the country, and you need to check it out right now. Tickets are sent directly to your phone, so you never have to dig through your email. Snag the tickets today without the stress with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Make sure that you check out our YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Knights. Please subscribe there. We appreciate everyone tuning in on there. Of course, your podcast, wherever you get your podcast, Locked On VGK. That podcast is everywhere, including Apple and the Odyssey app as well. And make sure on Friday we have What the Friday. There's going to be a lot of good and entertaining comments, I am sure, coming up.
I'm going to talk about shopping bags on What the Friday.
Shopping bags? For what?
I can't leak it now. It's not Friday yet.
Oh, okay.
Teaser. This is in the media class that I took.
Okay.
I took a media class. It was like $2, and there's a yellow book that I read. Never mind.
You're good. And you still have more experience than a lot of folks that cover this team.
Oh, ouch.
Chris, could penalties even out? That was a low blow. Could penalties even out?
First one you've ever done, too. Especially
early in this series, in this game number 3. Do you believe that Paul Maurice might have had conversations with the referees, especially, now hear me out here, about the play and the dirty play of Adin Hill, where he punches Cousins with the blocker, where we saw him during the course of game 2, knocking down, slashing, hacking at Matthew Tkachuk? Do you think perhaps he could get called for a penalty in this game? Will penalties sort of even out? And if that happens, I mean, how will VGK respond?
It's the game within the game, and both captains, both managers, whatever conversations are permitted between games are happening. I mean, that's the verbal warfare that exists during the playoffs, the regular season, and of course the Stanley Cup Final. Everyone's trying to get whatever edge you can, and we saw Paul Maurice after game 1 make the comment, they just couldn't wait to get us back in the box, when he made a dumb challenge. And he just says stupid things sometimes, but I do think going into Florida, there is going to be a little bit of a tilt their way. And, they're the home team. I mean, maybe they should have a little bit of home cooking. There's nothing wrong with that, honestly, in my opinion. I think you'll get a fair game from the refs. And I think also, and this is where, Tony, I loved your point. I think they're in the Edmonton series about having the same officials working the playoffs, working an entire round. Officials know the player, get to know the players know the officials, what they can and can't do. And you don't have to have that stupid feeling out period each game and the refs trying to establish their dominance by, tenning people, giving misconducts, 10-minute penalties and, all that nonsense, So Do I think there might be some home cooking? Maybe. Do I think Aiden Hill is going to be watched? Sure. But, Aiden Hill doesn't have nearly the reputation that Kachuk has right now. And this is not a new development for this entire family. Brady's got his edge. Matt's got his edge. And Father Kachuk, same thing when he was in the NHL. It's the family and it's who they are. And, that's they draw that, and the refs know their name, they know their number, and they know what to look for after the whistle. Is that fair? You bet that's fair. That's part of being a ref. You know that Matt Kachuk is going to be out there doing a lot more than, let's say, Chandler Stevenson, or I should have started William Karlsson. So yeah, that's my point. That's my point, Tony.
Okay.
Go ahead.
VGK has 3 power play goals in this series. South Beach Bruce yesterday saying
he is tan. I just looked at the picture. He is very tan.
He's so tan in one day, the instant tan. He said that the key is good puck movement against an aggressive team. He feels that this is a pressure team. And he said it's not as important for the Vegas Golden Knights to score a lot of power play goals, but making sure that they are timely power play goals. And they should have 4 power play goals because there were just 4 skaters on the ice the other night.
But they got 3. Okay, I was going to ask you that question. So, about the power play, listen, it's all working right now. On top of the goalies, the next thing that I talked about and we talked about, I'm referencing when I was on Locked On NHL with Gil at the start of the playoffs, was the power play and penalty kill. And even after the first round, the numbers weren't that good for Vegas. And obviously after the Edmonton round, they definitely weren't good. But I am curious if you take their power play and penalty kill percentage in rounds 3 and 4 versus the total versus the other 15 teams for the entire playoffs, where their power play stats would be as far as a ranking goes. But you're nervous now when you're on the power play against Vegas because they are scoring goals. So now that's a double down situation for the Florida Panthers, right? They learned maybe from the regular season Golden Knights, they could get aggressive and take penalties because they couldn't score in the power play. They were, I think, bottom 3rd in the league. They peaked for a little bit sometime in November or December, I want to say, and then it got bad after that. Even their beautiful run they had post All-Star break, their power play still sucked. Call it what it is. They were still not in a great spot, but timely goaltending, timely health, very timely health, and this is where everyone that loves to make comments about the Golden Knights magically returning to health, fine, whatever, so be it. You can have that comment that Vegas magically got a lot better once the playoffs started, but timely health, timely goaltending, the right amount of puck luck. You got to get lucky to win a cup. I don't care what team you are. There's got to be some luck. And knock on wood, the only thing that was possibly going to go against the Golden Knights was that possible injury. When we watched Jack Eichel go off holding his shoulder, what does he do? On his first or second shift, he comes in and gets the primary assist on a goal and puts the game out of reach when Florida had a pulse. So
that's because 3 players who chased him against the board.
And one was still on the bench.
And one was on the bench. And Marchessault was just streaking right down the middle of the ice.
Marchessault was streaking, nice.
Yeah, he was streaking down the ice. You talk about puck luck, and this could have been a different opponent. Just a lot of things have to go right in these close games, especially. Carolina, I think, had something like 12 posts in the playoffs or something like that. And that series could have turned out different.
Florida got a lot of luck to be here. You have to Florida fans, you have to acknowledge that. You have to acknowledge that.
VGK
they're not having it now.
No, and VGK has more or less handled business when they've needed to. And the one thing that we've stressed about VGK is that they've known how to close out series, or they try not to get that extra game, albeit we saw what happened in the Dallas series. Where
there's a pushback. Give Dallas credit. Give Dallas credit.
They got some good breaks and what have you. They pushed it back and they got a couple of extra games out of that series. But VGK disposed of Winnipeg when things started to get heavy and heated. And same thing with Edmonton when they needed to do that. And I think that they really do take it as a challenge just to quiet the crowds on the road. We'll have to see how that plays out.
What is the answer? Like, what does Paul, we started the show like this, but honestly, if you're Paul Maurice, Tony, what are you telling the team? What's the last thing you're telling your team and I'll put this on Twitter. What's the last thing you're going to tell the Florida Panthers when they walk out of that locker room to try and save their season? What are you going to tell them?
I would say if we have 8 to 10 total penalty minutes, we win this game.
There you go. I like that.
I just say, they can't have multiple game misconducts and things can't get that out of control, but that's about what they were averaging. If they have 4 trips to the box through 3 periods, I think they could manage that. And then they also have to play aggressive, not change up their game, but they do. You and I have stressed this so much. Florida's got to do something about the entries. Again, the neutral zone, there's so much open ice there, and there's a lot of breakdowns because of it.
Yeah, I mean, the neutrals, I was actually tweeting that about Paul Maurice right there. We talked about the neutral zone, and that's another thing. I mean, if I'm going to be Paul Maurice, I'm going to put my Paul Maurice hat on. I'm going to rein back a little bit on the aggressive forecheck and find a way to muddy up the neutral zone, get that quicksand out there.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what we think they need to do. Gudis, and he was missing practice yesterday, and now they say that he's going to play. Maurice said he's definitely going to play in the game.
If they go 11-7,
though, right?
Yeah, I mean, he got hit in the face and he went straight back on his back and his head. So, I mean, that's, if they go 11-7, that tells you something.
That will tell us something. Coming up next, we've got our locks of the night for game number 3 and our predictions as well. You don't want to miss that, of course, as usual. Coming up next on Locked On Golden Knights. We recently received our care packages from our good friends at Bird Dogs. We really like the way that the shorts they sent us fit. They actually feel comfortable. They've got an inner layer, and you could wear the Bird Dogs shirts and pants wherever you go because they're very versatile. You can wear one pair of shorts or pants to the golf course. I'm sure that South Beach Bruce probably wore them to the beach, and you could wear them hanging out with friends.
I wore mine today.
You wore yours today.
I am.
That's really nice.
Still wearing, actually, on my change, but I was wearing it earlier.
Okay. And a lot of celebrities wear Bird Dogs because they really like the comfort, and you could find Bird Dogs on birddogs.com. And if you go to birddogs.com /LockedOnNHL, just enter the promo code LockedOnNHL, and they will throw in, whenever you order, with each and every order, this custom Bird Dog Yeti style tumbler. Okay, so that is something that you definitely could use, and I utilize mine around here. And Chris and I wear their shorts. You'll see us around town, or you'll run into us at the supermarket, and we're probably going to be wearing them as well. Once again, go to birddogs.com /LockedOnNHL. Enter the promo code LockedOnNHL. You will receive a free custom Bird Dogs Yeti style tumbler with each and every order. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights from Las Vegas. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick. Chris, I'm sure, spent most of the day mapping out the Stanley Cup parade route through the cones. It's like an obstacle course. I think Mark Stone should help in the planning because he had that obstacle course goal the other night. I think he should definitely be on the planning.
Never know where you're going with it, but that was okay.
I didn't know where I was going with it.
Fair enough.
Know that. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about, when we talk about the leader in the Conn Smythe race, it has to be Jonathan Marchessault, and he's getting a ton of attention. But I was thinking back, of this path with Bruce Cassidy. What was the game earlier this season where Cassidy yanked him from the game, kind of sent a pretty harsh message to him? Do you remember that game?
So there was 2 incidents. Well, incidents is not the word. There were 2 notable times where Marchessault was slapped on the wrist, if you will. The one you're referencing is against the Seattle Kraken in the first period.
Mm-hmm.
Marchessault was not the only one either. It was like a ton of people.
Kessel? Or who else did they yank?
Kessel got elevated, I think. I could be wrong. I think Kessel actually was a beneficiary of that. So Marchessault only got like a few shifts in the first period or something crazy like that. And then a game that I was working media for. I don't know if it was the weird Arizona Coyotes game or if it was the game against the Sharks, but Marchessault is on the ice. A goal is scored by whoever the visitor is. In the post-game presser, I forgot the exact question that was asked, but Cassidy specifically says we have sticks in the wrong lanes when we're playing defense.
Yes.
So Marchessault is skating in, and there's a player on the left face-off circle. Marchessault has his stick in his right hand facing the player, like covering a pass back to the points. And someone passes it right down Broadway. They skate in like Marchessault did in the Stanley Cup game, and they beat our goalie. So just a small thing, but Cassidy, he catches all that stuff. And that's, I mean, he's magnificent to listen to in the post-game pressers, and he's fair. He gives you a very good temperature of, what he's feeling when the team is doing well and not doing well. But greater things have gotten a little better since then, I think.
Yeah. Which was that second game? Which game was that you covered? Can you recall? I
It could have been
remember
the Sharks game
comments.
where they got their clocks cleaned. It might have been that game.
Yeah, but he's come such a long way. We know he's eating the finest breakfast foods available, and his confidence right now is definitely beaming. And we talked about, again, just that combination with Eichel and Barbashev. It's really benefited him. They're three separate, different types of skaters and players.
They really
They're
are.
really different.
They really are. They really
But
are.
it works. I don't know how. That's unbelievable how Cassidy had the wherewithal to put those three players together. We know that Marchessault could score.
Yeah.
We know that Eichel could score and pass, and we know that Barbashev is more or less the grinder.
Yeah. Marchie's the sniper. Eichel's going to set him up, and the muscle is going to be Barbashev. He's the bodyguard.
He is the bodyguard. I guess we can start with our predictions and locks of the night. And I'm going to go with Marchessault because he's the hot hand. But I also predicted that Barbashev would win the Conn Smythe. And so I'm hoping for 6 games, and I'm hoping that Barbashev could somehow start scoring some goals. He definitely should be rewarded. He really should. And I think that this game will be one where we're going to have to see VGK's response. I think especially if Florida scores first, I'd like to see Florida, like how would Florida handle a 2-goal lead in a series? I'm wondering if they try to sit on the lead, if they continue to play aggressive, if they make stupid mistakes. I'm really curious.
I don't want to know.
Well, I would like to just see that just again to make this more interesting. It's been a very interesting series.
I want it to be more interesting.
I have Florida winning this game 4-3, even though I had a split at home for the Vegas Golden Knights. And then I said the Golden Knights would win 2 in not Miami, in Sunrise, Florida, in Sunrise. And so 4-3 is my score. Florida, VGK was a slight underdog. Florida was a -120 favorite late on Wednesday. How do you see things unfolding?
I'm with you on the result. I'm going 5-3 Florida. The only reason I'm saying that is I'm giving Florida credit. They're the Eastern Conference champs. They are not going to get swept. Am I saying that I don't think Vegas can win this game? I'm sure is whatever swear word you want to use, not stating that. Vegas has been the better team going away this entire series. I just have to give Florida credit. And I originally did predict win-win, loss, win-win for Vegas in 5. So selfishly, I'm hoping I can walk away with the title there. But if Vegas does win tonight, then I'm cool with that too, obviously. A point of concern / a good thing, though. So like you said, Vegas is a slight underdog, as they should be in this game. The public is all over the Panthers at like 61-39 as far as the split goes, but the public has also been cleaning up. Vegas was, favored -130, 140, whatever the number was. And it's been in the mid 60s for Vegas and the mid 30s for Florida. So it's been a public series. The Sharps are getting their butts kicked right now. Can those tides change? As everyone like myself thinks Florida's going to get there. And honestly, I haven't had a great betting action in the Stanley Cup Final. I've been doing okay. So if I were to bet on Florida, I think it's probably might be a losing bet. I hope it's going to be a losing bet at least. I'm not going to bet Florida either, but if I did, I hope I would lose that bet. As far as who I think on the Vegas side are going to shine and do something, I always want to do something different. I'm not going anywhere on the fourth line. because they're just not getting any time right now. Howden's been lighting the lamp a little bit. He's been having some fun out there. And let's go with Stevenson. He's been quiet.
Mm-hmm. And
He's
just
been
when you usually
responsible,
say,
but he's been quiet.
right, when you typically say he's been quiet, he usually comes out and scores. So I think that's a really good pick by you. So, yeah, we're looking forward to game number 3. I just think we're going to see no let up on either side. I think it's going to be a fun and entertaining game. There's always a lot of drama. And again, there's been big plays in the first 2 games. The Aiden Hill save, the Stone goal, the big hit, Kachuk on Eichel. I think
a lot of highlight reels.
they'll be talking about that hit for ages to come, I think. And we're only through 2 games, folks. So it should definitely continue to heat up. We'd like to thank our everydayers, the folks that tune in each and every day. Chris, I'd like to take a moment to shout out all of our friends and my family as well, back on the East Coast, affected by the smoky conditions from the fires in Canada.
Goodness.
Yeah, I spoke to my family today, and luckily I just said stay indoors as much as you possibly can because it's really bad back there. So
Yeah,
stay
it's
safe
unfortunate.
back there. For my man Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco. We appreciate you all tuning in. Tomorrow we will have a recap of game number 3. If the Golden Knights win this game, they'll be just 1 win away from a Stanley Cup title. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights.